The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, you'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
Welcome back to Rushcliffe again, everybody, although we're only just in Rushcliffe here because we're right on the border with Leicestershire. This place shares its name with a village that's over the border into Leicestershire. This is Upper Broughton. Upper Broughton, up a farm by a brook. We are now in single figures in terms of Rushcliffe parishes remaining. Today I've brought you to one of the two Broughtons that are on the Leicestershire border. This one is on the Nottinghamshire side, but only just. Upper Broughton is sometimes known as Broughton Sulney or Over Broughton, and it's about 7 miles northwest of Melton Mowbray. Nether Broughton is across the county boundary. The name Broughton means farm by the brook, and it was recorded in the Domesday Book as Broughton. It was part of the Bingham wapentake. There are 16 listed buildings in this village, of which St Luke's Church is perhaps the grandest, carrying as it does a Grade 1 listing. There's a pub on its main street, which was originally called the Golden Fleece, but today it's the Tap and Run. It was badly damaged by fire in 2022 and reopened in 2023 after some extensive rebuilding work. West of the village is the former Upper Broughton railway station. It was on the Nottingham direct line of the Midland Railway, opened in 1880 and closed in 1948. I reckon the standout feature though is the Millennium Mosaic, an attractive piece of artwork that depicts all aspects of life in this village. A lot of people know this place thanks to its connections with a famous cricketer, one that should really be a household name, Stuart Broad. Let's have a walk around and see how the former England captain is linked to this tiny village in the East Midlands. We start with the Millennium Mosaic on what's sometimes known as Cross Green. I love this. All the little sections represent parts of Upper Broughton village life. Items such as a pork pie, paintbrushes and a beaver angel are visible on this. You may notice there's a huntsman in a red jacket too. Upper Broughton's villagers are proud of their links to the Quorn hunt. Indeed, our current king used to hunt here often. We're close to Melton Mowbray here, so there's no mystery surrounding the pork pie. There's also a water spring too. That represents the ancient Wound Hill Spring found nearby. In the early 1900s, it was a popular healing place for skin diseases. A circular bath was constructed where people could bathe, but this is now on private land and visitors are discouraged, apparently. The lamb represents the farming links in the village, and the beaver angel is included because in the 1700s a local stonemason was responsible for the listed slate headstones in the churchyard. The green also has a cross, hence the name Cross Green. The origins of this stone structure are unclear though. One theory suggests it was erected as a way of thanking God because many other nearby villages were decimated by the plague. Upper Broughton, however, was spared. A much more believable theory is that it's the remains of a 13th century market cross. You know, I just love finding things like that Millennium Mosaic because they depict all the sort of aspects of history that go into the place that you're in. Every village should have one. I'm saying that right here, right now. Andy Smith, 2024. I tell you what, it wouldn't half make my job easier. Okay, we've made it to the A606. You can see behind me there's another green. That is top green. The one where the Millennium Mosaic is bottom green. So there's two greens here in Upper Broughton. And here at top green, there used to be a shop. You can just about see it here on the left-hand side. It says there, "The shop for value, our motto is service." Well, not at the minute, because the shop is closed, I'm afraid, people. There's no shop today in Upper Broughton. I'll tell you what there is though, there's a pub, and it's called the Tap and Run. So this is the Tap and Run, Upper Broughton's one and only pub. This was originally called the Golden Fleece. In September of 2018, a pub company called Cat and Wickets bought the building. The company is owned by cricketers Stuart Broad and Harry Gurney. After a lengthy closure and refurbishment, it was reopened as a gastropub with a relaxed atmosphere serving locally sourced food and drink. All was going well until 2022, when the pub was destroyed by an accidental fire. However, it soon got back on its feet again, reopening in 2023 after a £1.3 million rebuild. The rebuild included lining the roof with fire retardant materials and installing a fire suppression system to stop any sort of similar disaster. Up to the church next, and another dedicated to St Luke. This was built in the 12th century and has a Norman tympanum in its porch. A fragment of an arcade from the Norman period is built into its south wall. The tower is 13th century and there's a 14th century font here. The porch was rebuilt in 1733 and includes fragments of the original work. The east wall of the porch has some crudely carved stonework that may have come from a 400-year-old tomb. St Luke's was restored in 1855 by SS Toylon, including the chancel and north aisle. The whole thing is now Grade 1 listed. St Luke's also has a bell-ringing band that meets on Tuesday evenings. They offer tuition for those who have never rung before. Now, hanging up here in the church, there's something called a patchwork. I'm sure Nikki would appreciate this. Take a look at this. There's some effort gone into this, I tell you. This is absolutely beautiful. It's massive as well. Hangs from a great height up there from the ceiling. Some awesome bits and bobs on here. There's some bits of Broughton history as well, because you can see there's a huntsman there on a horse. On the right here, you've got the church in this corner here. I'm looking for the pub, but I can't see it. Probably there somewhere. Absolutely amazing. Whoever did that, it's just awesome. And I overuse that word, I know I do. But yeah, credit where it's due, people. Credit where it's due. Down a lane beside the pub is an old chapel. Now, normally I'd have found something out about this, but Upper Broughton's chapel history was beyond sparse. I do know, however, that even though the old chapel is now a residence, the public can still access its graveyard. I opted not to wander in because I didn't want to spook the chapel's owners, but in there's a memorial for all, according to a sign at the end of the lane leading to this. Here's the village hall. This was built in 1899. In 1983, Upper Broughton Parish Council bought the village hall from the church, and at that time it was in a poor condition. To raise money to improve the hall, the Parish Council organised an exhibition of local art. What followed was a 3-day exhibition during the August Bank holiday in 1983. Rushcliffe Community Arts Department donated £25 as prize money in the hope of attracting artists. This money was split into 3 prizes of £8 each, with the spare £1 designated to help with expenses. Those were the days. The hall has been well maintained ever since, and it's now pretty modern. A cottage next to the hall is used by the parish council for meetings and other lettings. Okay, so apart from the pub, which obviously is to do with cricket, Upper Broughton has another cricket-themed landmark, and that's an actual cricket club. To get to that, you have to walk down this hill, which leads into Leicestershire, and this definitely puts the upper in Upper Broughton because it's quite a steep hill. This we're heading downhill at the moment, but after I've been to the cricket club I will have to climb back up this hill. Thank God it's not raining anymore. Now, as we've just learned, former cricketers Harry Gurney and Stuart Broad have a vested interest in this village. Cricket is an important sport in Upper Broughton. Upper Broughton Cricket Club owns this well-maintained ground on the A606, 100 metres or so south of the village. The club's ground previously lacked a pavilion, so when the tap and run was known as the Golden Fleece, it was used as the changing rooms for players and officials. Of course, the pub still retains a cricket theme. Well, anyone for tennis people? Upper Broughton has had tennis courts since the 1950s, and if you look closely on that mosaic where we started this walk, there is a tennis racket. And we are pretty much done with the walk now around Upper Broughton, because from here it's a simple case of walking back to the car, which is parked just beyond these tennis courts. We're not quite finished with the parish though. There are two further things I'd like to cover, and both of them are between the village and the A46. The first one is an old railway station. Now a ways west of the village, here we have the former Upper Broughton railway station. The Midland Railway opened the station for passengers on February the 2nd, 1880. The station was on a cut-off line from Melton Mowbray, which allowed trains to avoid reversing at Nottingham. The station closed to passengers in 1949. We've met this line before. Today it's the old Dolby test track. I don't have much more than that about the station, so let's move on to the A46, where there's another mode of transport to discuss. Right on the parish boundary and just east of the A46 is Nottingham Raceway. It's a karting circuit. There's been a track on this site since the early 1970s, making it one of the oldest established public circuits in the country. The current track is 550 metres long and quite technical. It requires great skill to get a good lap time, while the design is also great for the novice drivers. It provides karts for all people and all skill levels, from the cadet karts for the 8-year-old novice drivers out there to the powerful 270cc Biz Le Mans karts for the more experienced. I've never been karting. I keep saying to myself that one of these days I'm going to have to. You know though, if I do, I'll be recording the whole thing to stick on YouTube. For now, I'll stick to my own car. That's it for Upper Broughton, and as such, the southern section of Rushcliffe. There ain't much left now. Tomorrow we're heading north again, and we're off to tackle one of the district's towns. Get ready for some more railway history, some Roman links, and the tragic story of a young boy who was knocked off his bike. See you tomorrow. Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.